Okay, picture this. It's searingly hot, middle of summer. You're watching this incredibly tough ultra marathon, right? One of the world's hardest. And this one person, after, what was it, like 25, almost 26 hours of just pure physical hell, they cross the finish line. A personal best, even. Crowds are going wild, cameras flashing. Victory, but you look at their face and it's just blank. Nothing. No smile, no relief, not even exhaustion, really. Just empty. So why? Why is that victory so hollow? Okay, let's unpack this.
That blankness,
Yeah.
it tells you everything, doesn't it? It's a huge signal. It tells you the real battle, the one that mattered, wasn't fought on that road. It was fought way before, internally, in their own head. They're so far past that original darkness, the race is just, well, another task done. And that's our mission today, really, to dive into the architecture of that kind of self-mastery. We're looking at this, well, frankly, counterintuitive idea. How profound weakness, real chaos, even serious trauma from childhood, how that gets flipped. How it's turned from an anchor into like this incredibly powerful fuel, the most powerful fuel for driving change. We're essentially looking at how you turn that personal debt, all that negativity, into a kind of emotional equity.
That's a really powerful way to put it. So if you feel like your past, your fears are holding you back, maybe they're actually your unique engine. Okay, so to get that drive, we need to understand where it comes from. The source material talks about a really painful childhood. Abuse, yes, but it emphasizes that the physical side, the beatings, somehow felt less damaging than the constant mental stuff, that mental torture.
Yeah, exactly. Physical wounds heal, right? But when you hear from age 5 over and over, you're nobody, you're dumb, you're a loser, that becomes your internal soundtrack. It forms your identity. And look, the most important conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself, right? For this person, that conversation was, well, horrifying, as you'd expect. They started out terrified of everything, built on fear, abuse, failure, just baseline fear.
So if that internal talk is the foundation, where does it happen? This leads to that core idea you mentioned, the dark room.
Yeah.
And it's not just a metaphor for feeling sad, is it? It's more like a space.
Yeah, exactly. It's the psychological space where you have to confront all of it, your unvarnished reality, no filters. It's where you keep who you really are deep down.
Yeah.
All the insecurity, every failure, the whole tragic history. Things like, the shame about cheating on tests just to survive school, the embarrassment of not being able to read or write properly, the chaos at home, watching their mom change from this loving figure into someone, well, just stoic and shut down by fear. All that stuff lives there.
And the key thing is, you can't just peek in. You have to actually go in and sit with it.
That's the requirement.
Yeah.
It's profound. Like you said, you have to sit in that dark room and look at every single piece, because facing it is what takes away its power. You can't outsource it. You can't hire someone to do it for you.
Yeah.
If you keep those failures locked away, they control you from the shadows. But when you drag them out, look at them, define them, okay? They become known quantities, things you can maybe work with. You have to accept that this room, holding all that awful history, is also the only place you can start building the new person who walks out. Accepting that starting point, no matter how low it is,
Okay.
that's ground zero for resilience.
Okay, so accepting that reality, sitting in that room, that leads to this huge turning point. The realization that all that negative stuff, the chaos, the self-hate that was making them weak, it could actually be flipped, used as power.
Exactly. It's a radical reframing, isn't it? Like if you start with immense debt, you're poorly educated, you've been abused, you're mentally trapped, then your potential upside, the gain from changing, is just massive. And they realized that their intense isolation actually fueled this. Even living at home, they were completely alone. Mom working 3 jobs, totally unaware of the school struggles.
Yeah.
The kid having to basically become the man of the house, lying, sneaking,
Yeah.
just surviving day to day.
Wow. That kind of isolation,
Yeah.
it forces you to be radically independent, I guess. And they noticed something interesting, right, about how big organizations work. Companies, the military.
Yeah, they all have an ethos, a mission statement, something that defines what they stand for, what guides their action. So the thinking becomes, if a whole company needs that, why doesn't an individual? Especially one starting from so far behind. So the imperative is, create your own personal mission statement, a personal ethos. Define exactly what you want to be. Not just what you want to do, but who you want to be. And that statement becomes like your personal constitution. It gives structure to all that internal chaos.
So it's not just a nice idea on paper. It has to be actionable. Like, until you define what you stand for, you will always be sitting down. That's powerful. It demands daily accountability. But why choose something so extreme, like becoming an elite soldier, especially if you might hate parts of it?
What's fascinating here is that willingness, the willingness to endure stuff you genuinely hate purely because that struggle forces the change you need inside. It wasn't about loving the idea of jumping from planes or combat, not at all. It was about forging a new reputation, first with yourself, and holding yourself to this incredibly high, unforgiving standard every single day. That constant grind, doing the unpleasant tasks because your ethos demands it,
Yeah.
that's how you build a new self. That's how the mission becomes real, non-negotiable.
Okay, let's talk about passion. We hear it all the time, right? Find your passion, like it's hiding under a rock somewhere. But this perspective, it completely flips that. It says passion isn't out there waiting to be found. It's already here, stacked all around you, actually, in your fears, your insecurities. That vulnerability, that's the real energy source.
It's a stunning irony, isn't it? You have this person, 300 pounds, riddled with insecurity, admits to being a liar. And that person decides, I'm going to become one of the most elite soldiers on the planet. Everyone externally is thinking, that's just stupid, look at you. But internally,
Yeah.
that massive self-doubt, that constant fear of being a failure forever, that was the engine. The conversion is almost mechanical. Instead of letting insecurity shut you down, you find concrete things, metrics, ways to prove that doubt wrong, action.
And this takes a certain mindset, right? There's that analogy, that really vivid image about approaching a dangerous situation.
Oh yeah, the door analogy. It's powerful. Imagine you're in, say, Iraq or Afghanistan. Hostile building. You have to go in a room. Two ways. You can crack the door, peek in slowly, tentative, hesitant. What kind of message does that send?
Weakness, right?
Uncertainty.
Futility.
Or you just open the damn door and go in hard, commit.
And that's the metaphor for life's challenges, especially the ones that scare you.
It's exactly. Choose action over paralysis. But here's the key insight. It's not about being fearless. It's not reckless. It's a psychological maneuver. You acknowledge the fear. You say, yep, I'm weak here. I'm afraid. I can barely read this.
Yeah.
But you choose the action anyway. You act despite the weakness instead of letting the weakness make you hesitate or hide.
And choosing that action triggers this process. They call it me cracking out, like shedding a skin and becoming someone stronger, almost like creating an avatar. How does that work psychologically? Is it like having two personalities?
It's less about split personalities, I think. It's more about accessing a chosen state, a state of confidence. You find strength not by denying your weaknesses, but by knowing you faced them, you've acknowledged them, you've defined your mission, and therefore you stop caring so much what others think. Their judgment becomes irrelevant compared to your internal standard. When that internal goal matters more than anything else, you just project that strength. You walk in, command the room, own your space. That's the moment you become, well, pretty unstoppable. Yeah, this leads to something really critical, a trap lots of us fall into, maybe. The difference between just dreaming and actually achieving mastery. People sit around dreaming, right? I want to be a SEAL, I want to be an astronaut, whatever. But the dream itself can become the master, can't it? If you don't back it up with work. Yeah, here's where it gets really interesting. The dream, that's just the starting pistol firing. That's it. The second you truly decide to master that dream, the dream itself kind of evaporates. It disappears. And it gets replaced by something much less romantic, much colder, much harder, which is
The laundry list, the endless list of details and tasks.
That's shit to me.
The work, exactly. That emotional high of the dream just dissolves. It's gone. And what's left is the granular reality of execution. So I want to be a Navy SEAL instantly becomes, okay, first task, lose 106 pounds. And not just lose weight, but lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months. That level of brutal, specific, non-negotiable detail, that focus on the process, the next small, hard task, that is mastery. It's just this task, then the next one, relentlessly. Wow. And the ultimate motivation, the thing that keeps driving this whole philosophy, it's this really chilling idea about a final judgment. Like imagine your life ends, you sit down, and there's this chart, and it shows your full potential, everything you could have been, who you should have been, educated, maybe changed the world in some way, physically capable, versus who you actually end up being, maybe stuck in a dead-end job, overweight, unfulfilled.
Yeah. And the true horror, the real hell in this view, it isn't fire and brimstone. It's seeing that gap, realizing the potential you just left on the table because you weren't willing to do the work, because you weren't willing to grind yourself into a fine powder, as the source puts it, to master that daily list of tasks needed to live up to your own mission, that sense of power, the confidence a runner felt crocking the line. It wasn't about the medal. It came from remembering those real, raw moments alone, grinding against that past self, doing the work. #TagCoutTrey. So if we pull all this together from our deep dive, I think the core discovery is actually pretty humbling. Real, deep power. It's not found in the usual places, is it? Not money, not fame, not awards. It seems to be found in those moments of sheer will. The internal struggle required to completely transform yourself, to take someone who maybe felt fundamentally broken, a fucked up person, in their own words, and forge them into a force. Through sheer self-work and mastering those damn tasks.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? I think the takeaway is pretty clear. Every single one of us has a foundation. Maybe it includes some darkness, some fear, some insecurity. We all have it. But that material, that very stuff, it's also your unique fuel, your potential energy source. It's incredibly potent if you choose to use it. So stop letting the dream just be a dream. Stop sitting down. Start attacking the tasks.
Right, think about that chart. Your potential. If it existed right now, today, what's the single biggest thing on that list? The most immediate detail that's staring you in the face. The one that requires you to stop making excuses, acknowledge whatever fear is there, and just start grinding. Right now. That's your task.
Yeah.
Your non-negotiable starting point. That's where you begin.